This is one of the most important things when it comes to training for a really, really big race like an ultra marathon, because our bodies are working so hard. We're putting in a ton of time, we're putting in a ton of mileage, we're burning a lot of calories, our muscles are getting broken down, and we need to make sure that our bodies are well fed. When I first started to ultra run, actually, even before I first started to ultra run, my whole goal with getting healthy and running and doing everything that I was doing was to get sober. I was addicted to drugs for many, many, many years, and I really struggled with ADHD, and that led me to get hooked onto Adderall, using cocaine, drinking copious amounts of alcohol, and a lot of that just came down to, I believe, that, my brain just needed healing, essentially. And as I read into a lot of the, health books and research and everything, right, I learned that how much of an impact that food can have on our body. You may think I'm going in a different direction here, but hear me out, right? So before I really started to run long distances, I was doing very, very short runs. And I actually started out my diet doing a more ketogenic diet. And the reason for that was because I was reading all these things saying that carbs spike your blood sugar and all this stuff too. And I was like, okay, well, I really want to be able to think and be clear and do all this stuff. So I tried out the ketogenic diet at first. The longer that I went, though, the more that I actually found myself feeling drained, feeling like my runs were much harder and tougher. And actually, it came down to one time I was running the longest that I had ever sent out to run, and I actually passed out. No joke. I remember running. I was feeling lightheaded. It was in Wisconsin. It was like the dead of the winter, super, super cold. And I remember I was running and I was feeling lightheaded, and I didn't know if it was the cold. I didn't know if I didn't get enough sleep last night. And next thing I know, I'm waking up. Thank God it was snowy outside, because I fell down into some plush snow, and I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, like what the heck happened? And I went to the doctor, and the doctor asked me, they're like, okay, like how much are you running? And I told him how much I was running at the time, and he's like, well, are you getting in carbohydrates? And I was like, no, like I cut it out completely. And he looked at me like I had 5 heads, like I was crazy or something. So that's when I learned that I needed to add in more carbohydrates, because that was going to help me to be in a position where I was going to feel better. And if I wanted to go longer on these runs, I needed to fuel my body with carbohydrates. And so I started to add in carbohydrates. I started to do them before my runs and after my runs. And as I went longer and longer, I learned that you had to do them during your runs, right? Which is going to be a whole video that we'll go through. We'll go through intra race and intra long run fueling, which you already are going to get a good look on in this video as we go through a long run. But like, I realized that all those things that I needed to do to eat was going to help me be a better athlete. When it comes to eating when you're training for an ultra marathon, which is that everybody has something that works for them, and one thing that works for me might not work for you, and one thing that works for you might not work for me. You need to go through this trial and error process of finding out, what are the foods that work, what are the foods that don't work, what are the foods that cause me stomach issues, what are the foods that allow me to feel good for my long run the next day, what are the foods that make me recover the best, right? What are the foods that make me not feel like I'm super, super full or feel like I'm going to throw up when I go before my runs, right? This is all a process that I think is really, really important to go down. Food is fuel. And when you fuel yourself in the right way, not only are you going to perform better, and not only are you going to nail your workouts, but you're going to feel a lot better. And when you feel a lot better, you're going to be more motivated to get up and get back out there. But it is a process. And I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutrition, so I can't tell you what those things are for you, but I can tell you that there is something that works for you. And to reiterate, that everybody has a different strategy, and the more you can be honed in on that and find that, you're going to be in a good position. All right, it's week 7, training for our next 100-mile race, which is the Western States 100-miler. And I get asked this question all the time. When you're training for a 100-mile race, what are you eating in a day? And so what we're going to do in this video is we're going to take you through not just one day of eating, but 2 days of eating in the midst of a 100-mile training. One of the days is going to be today, which we're going to take you through what I eat on a day of a speed workout and doing a double. So I have another run tonight. So today we'll probably clock around 18 to 20 miles. On Saturday, we are doing a long run that's going to be anywhere between 20 to 25 miles. So we're going to take you through a full day of eating today with the speed workout and a double. And then we're going to take you through a full day of eating for my long run on Saturday, because both are different. And on the long run on Saturday, I'm obviously going to be fueling during the run as well too. So we'll take you through that. We'll take you through what to eat morning, wake up, all the way to the end. And I'll even show you what I eat the night before a long run too. So no hiding any tricks. You're going to see what it's like to eat as an ultra runner, which is very, very important, by the way. If you're training for an ultra marathon, any running race, you need to make sure that you are eating enough, and you need to make sure that you're eating in a way that supports your training, that rebuilds your body, gives you energy to push. When I work with athletes one-on-one who are training for races, a question that I ask them every single week is, hey, are you eating enough during the week? Because if you don't eat enough, you're not going to be powered on your workouts, you're not going to recover as well, you're not going to make as much progress, you're going to feel very low energy throughout the day, and you need to make sure that you're supporting your body. Food is fuel. You need to be sure to be fueling in the right way that's going to support your body, making sure that you're getting enough carbs and protein and all the things that are going to help you to function well, and it's going to help to fuel all your workouts, all your training, so you get the best results. So let's dive into this morning. It is Thursday, January 15th. Now we're going to start to eat our first meal of the day. So let's get right into it. So your fueling should really depend around when you're going to be running and making sure that you're getting the right things before the run, and then obviously during and after. But that before is super, super important. So today, just to give you some context, I will be doing my first run, the speed workout, at 1 p.m. And then I will be doing my second run at 6:30 p.m. later tonight. The reason why I'm setting it up this way is because I'm going to get to work early. I like to just get all of the work that I need to do for my business. I like to check in with athletes. But basically, the first part of the day is going to be spent working, and then I'm going to run at 1 p.m. So I need to make sure that I'm getting in good carbohydrates early, some protein to keep myself filled, but most importantly, as my bag of berries spills, I want to make sure that I'm fueling up with enough carbs and to keep myself pretty full as I go through and work as well too. So here's what we got. We're going to do a bowl of oatmeal. So I'm going to have a cup of oats. We're going to add some frozen berries to it, which I spilled out over there. And then I also like to add some PB Fit. I could add regular peanut butter, but the thing with this is that I want to try to avoid having too much fat before my speed workouts, because even though fat is good for you, it's healthy for you. Obviously, it depends on what type of fat, but you don't want to have too much fat before your speed workouts, because you could just basically risk GI issues, which I'm going to be taking a certain type of supplements which can increase GI risk, and I want to be able to protect that as much as possible. I'll show you which supplement it is. Amidst all this stuff, I have to show you every morning. And I'm not saying this is good, but I drink a copious amounts of caffeine, like tons of caffeine. And sometimes coffee doesn't just do it. So every morning I do drink an energy drink. This is Alani Nu. Sometimes it's Celsius, sometimes it's White Monster, which is amazing. Sometimes it's Rain, Bang, whatever I can get my hands on, or whatever's on sale at Costco. So I usually start with 200 milligrams of energy drink, and then I usually drink another cup of coffee right after that to get like 300 milligrams in the morning. Yes, I'm crazy. Yes, I'm psycho. Do I suggest this? No. I shouldn't say I'd suggest it. If you do, I hate saying that, like not the do as I do kind of thing, but like if you do need a high tolerance of caffeine and you can properly take it and it doesn't affect you or your health, like go for it. Like, do I think everybody needs to be doing that? No. And we'll talk about like the nutritions of should you do this, should you do that, but let's just dive into making this breakfast here. It's like rocket science here. Chef Joe in the kitchen over here. Bon appetit. Make sure I'm getting some berries in there. I'm not a good cook. I don't cook lavish stuff, but man, sometimes the simple stuff is the best stuff. I know that there's, plenty of different people who do low carbohydrate diets and everything, and that's like a whole, kind of standard process, or I shouldn't say standard process, but that's a whole process. And if you are choosing to embrace the carbs, you should embrace them fully, for sure. Protein's also super important, which is why we have protein here, but that's more for like post-workout, which we'll go into. But it's like every morning, if I'm running later in the day, if I'm running earlier, I'll show you what I have and I'll kind of explain it. But since we're doing a later run today, this is what I like to start the morning. How can I forget? Can't forget about the sweet nectar over here, the caffeine, well needed. So I'm going to crush this whole bowl here and we'll get started working on the day. I'm eating with my mouth full here. I have no manners right now, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. All right, so now it's almost 7 a.m. and I'm going to get started to the day with work and everything too. So the caffeine on deck, and I also got some water, which hydration is key. I mean, I don't think it goes without saying that, but yeah, especially as we're going to be taking the supplement that we're going to be taking today, which can lead to not dehydration, but hydration imbalance, which we'll kind of talk about too. I always just like to make sure that I'm drinking enough water throughout the day. I probably go for like 8 glasses of these throughout the day. And then obviously like drinking on the runs and everything too. I mean, most of the time I don't really try to get like a specific amount. I know I said about 8. That's usually where I end up leading up, but I always just go on how much I'm peeing. So what is the morning like, right? I'm running at 1 p.m. So what am I doing into that? And so starting at 7, I'll be running payroll, which I guess if people don't know, so I run a ultra running coaching business, Everyday Ultra. I'm the CEO, head coach, and main content creator, as you can see through this, of the business. So we have over 10 coaches. We have several employees, and so today is payday for them. So we're gonna go through, run payroll first thing in the morning because I gotta make sure my team's getting paid. And then after that, usually I spend about 2 hours answering emails and then also checking in on athletes that I coach personally. That's usually about 2 hours or so. Around 9:30, I'll start to have second breakfast, which I'll take you through. Then around 10 o'clock, I'll start actually releasing some podcast episodes, booking future podcast guests, writing out outlines for future podcast episodes. So kind of just going through our end of January strategy with the podcast, Everyday Ultra. Then I have a call with a client at 11:30. And then at 12, I will start getting ready for the run. And then at 1 p.m. Is where we'll start our run. And then you'll see the rest of the day from there on out. So that is what it's going to be. So I'm going to be working away, doing all that stuff. And the big rule that I have for myself is eat when you are hungry. So if I'm like working throughout here and I start to get hungry, like I will go eat something. So if I do take a snack in this time period, I will go show you because we're showing everything. Curtain is being lifted and all. So let's dive into work and make it happen. All right, it's 8:15. What's up, buddy? Do you know what time it is? You know what time it is, buddy? Coffee time. Iced coffee today, just because as much as I do like to brew coffee and everything, it's a busy morning. I gotta be as efficient as possible. So we're just pouring in some iced coffee, no ice. As you'll see, I'm a very busy person. I got a lot of stuff to do. I'd like to do a lot of stuff. And so I try to make my meals as efficient as I possibly can. And also I stink at cooking. And no, that's not an excuse either because I don't like cooking either. So I try to get quick and easy. You get the Magic Kingdom mug. And we're going to be caffeinated and continue to fuel our morning work adventures. All right, so it's 10:15. Bud's just chilling. He's always just big chilling. As you can see, a little late to second breakfast, but I was kind of locked in on some stuff. We had some things pop up. When you're running a business, things pop up. Sometimes you got to pivot, adapt, act on things quick. So, and I wasn't feeling too hungry, so I was like, okay, like I can wait a little bit. And then the tummy started to rumble, and so that means it was time for second breakfast. So what we got cooking, and yes, I actually did cook. I said I suck, but I have 3 eggs scrambled, which I cooked. And then I have this rice, which is Spanish rice with tomatoes, peppers, everything and such too. Now I cooked the scrambled eggs. I did not cook the rice. You know who cooked the rice? My good friend, Ben. Ben cooked the rice, yeah. We got some carbs, and then we got some protein as well. Again, keeping things like light and simple because we have that speed workout. You want to kind of, if you have like a run later in the day, you do want to try to avoid like anything like super heavy or super filled with fiber just because you want to protect your stomach from not exploding out there, for lack of better terms. We're going to take our special supplement in like an hour and 30 minutes-ish, which we'll go into too. Now let's see how Chef Joe did and Chef Ben. Big eggs guy. And by the way, I'm a scrambled eggs guy through and through. A lot of people like over easy. Ma'am, I'm not a fan. Not because I don't like the taste, but because I feel like you just like leak out a bunch of the yolk. And I feel like you get everything intact on here with the scrambled eggs. And also, I don't even know if I could do I probably could. Right now though, if you asked me to do an egg over easy, I don't know if I could. So maybe I'm just being honest with myself. Also still a little hungry after that. So remember, if you're hungry, eat. That's the rule. I'm going to have a pack of these. These are like amazing. Holy crap. Again, not sponsored by these guys, but holy crap. These are at Costco. They're so good. I think I've one time consumed about like 7 or 8 of these packs in one day, like shamelessly too. God, they're incredible. Oh God, it's not going to happen. Go. All right, it is 11:08, and we have a client call in about 20 minutes. So we're going to get some supplement stacks in, which I like to get in anywhere between 90 minutes to 120 minutes. So hour and a half to 2 hours before my workout. So the first is going to be these little guys right here, which let me get a box just so y'all can see it too. So this is Currans. So it is a New Zealand black currant extract that's in a pill form. And there's tons of scientific research and benefits on the benefits of these things in terms of just overall endurance, fat oxidation, fatigue, management, recovery. I mean, like, it just goes beyond. And I'm very skeptical when it comes to supplements. I think a lot of supplements are BS. I think a lot of supplements are overhyped. As you can see throughout this day, like this supplement and the next one I'm going to take are the only two supplements that I do take. Because I think a lot of other them you can get it through food or they're overhyped kind of stuff. All that being said, I like to take 2 of these 2 hours before my workout, just because there's a lot of performance benefits that show that taking these 2 hours before your workout is helped to increase performance and endurance and workouts and everything such too. And I can tell you this, like when I started taking this, I was skeptical, but I see my performances increase. I see my just overall feeling a lot stronger on the runs, and I recover a lot faster. So I'm a believer of this. I've been taking this stuff for about 2-3 months now, and it's absolutely amazing. So we're going to take 2 of these capsules right now before we dive into the next supplement. Boom, we got little black magic pills right there. And I'm going to take it down with some water. Good to go. All right, that's supplement number 1. Now supplement number 2, bicarb. We used this stuff last week for the first time ever in our speed workout, and the splits performance, like, it was wild. Like, I was able to hit faster splits out of any VO2 max workout this block, even with, I think it was like 70 miles on my legs already earlier in the week. And that makes sense because there's a lot of proven benefits of bicarb. It basically is a lactate buffer. So when lactate builds up, like, you're able to run faster because the lactate is not interfering with you being able to slow down as much. So all that being said, you're able to run for faster paces, not have that lactate limit you as much, and able to get faster splits and therefore better performance. So we're going to go with another dose of bicarb here. Usually they say, I think it says 90 to 120 minutes before exercise. So we are about 90 minutes-ish, 90 minutes, 120. So we're right in the window. So let's get this bicarb going. Add the carb mix into this. This is always a fun little science experiment. 34 grams of carbs. And then we add some water. Then we stir for probably an obnoxiously long time. And this carb mix is berry flavored too. There's always a risk of GI stuff with sodium bicarb. Last time I did not have to use an emergency bathroom session. However, you could feel it. I was getting a little bit of the warning signs, but it never really materialized. The same will go true with today. Now we add in the bicarb pellets, which you are not supposed to chew. You are supposed to just swallow them whole. This stuff is not cheap. This is more affordable. The Morton stuff is like insanely expensive, which is why, you don't necessarily have to do this stuff. The only reason why I'm prepping or trying it out is because I did want to experiment it, and 2, I would like to take this for marathon tune-up that I have. I will probably not take it before Western States, though. I know Killian Jornet was taking bicarb. There's not a lot of good evidence on, like, for ultra performance, and especially with, like, how hard it is on the GI system and how hot Western States can get. I just don't want to risk any poops. All right, do a little mixy mix with the bicarb. Remember, no biting, just swallow. I don't know why you're not supposed to bite it, but that's the instructions, and I paid a decent amount of money for this, so I'm not going to ruin it. It's so tempting to want to bite it. The call that I'm with is an athlete training for the Cocodona 250, which is awesome. We have a lot of athletes doing Cocodona this year. I've done Cocodona actually, this was not planned, I promise, but I did Cocodona in 2024. Was gonna do it this year, was signed up, but then I got into Western States, and I just didn't want to. It's not that I didn't want to do both, it's like, it would have been a close time frame. We'll wash it down with some more water, and we are onto a client call, and then we'll get ready for this workout. All right, so we have made it to where we're doing our speed workout. We're going to be doing our VO2 max speed workout. So today's workout is actually going to be the same as the workout that I did last week. Sometimes repeating workouts is totally okay. I mean, I don't really get bored with monotony when it comes to workout styles or anything. I know some of my athletes do, and I like to switch it up and everything and such too, but I tend to go from the standpoint of if something works, go for it, and as long as you're not burning out, keep hammering it. And so, but again, remember, we're decreasing the time and intensity each week as we're building more volume. So this week, or today, we're going to do the same workout as last week, which is 5 sets of 3 minutes at 8 to 9 RPE with 3 3 minutes cool down in between each set with a 25-minute warm up, and then a cool down. I'm probably going to go for like an hour or so on the trails at a pretty easy pace. Sometimes I like to get a hybrid in. For the last few workouts, we've done basically them all on track workouts or on a canal path or anything as such too. We're going to be doing it on a canal path today for the speed part, but I'm going to get on the trails afterwards, because I do like to get some practice with getting out there on the trails with some elevation gain after beating up the legs on some hard pound and speed work, which is going to be very important for Western States 100. Now, usually before my runs and workouts, I tend to have a bagel, but I will say the bicarb was sitting a little iffy in the stomach, which is normal. That happens. So because it was sitting a little iffy, instead of opting for a bagel, I'm actually going to go with a gel right before as well too, just so I can get something easier to digest in the stomach. This gel has 100 milligrams of caffeine in it as well. So we're going to add to the caffeine tally of a lot of milligrams today. So, and this isn't water. This is a serving of Hyperlight in here, which has 100 grams of carbs, 1,000 milligrams of sodium. This is always my liquid calories of choice. And I always say a cheat code in your interval workouts is to fuel them. Fuel your interval workouts because you're going to replenish glycogen a lot quicker, because the faster you go, the more carbohydrate energy reserves that you're burning. And so if you can have that resupply tank in there when you're running out there, you can supercharge your interval workout. So getting in a little carbs as well too. This is a lot of water. This is like 800 milliliters of water. It is pretty hot outside. It's like, I think it's like 75, 80 degrees. So that can make for some slower splits and make for a tougher workout. But hey, we're out here and doing it. So let's get out there. All right, so the shoes for today are going to be the Mount to Coast H1s. This is a hybrid road trail shoe. My favorite shoe I think I've ever worn in ever. They're super comfy on the road, but they're also really good on trail. And so today, because I want to do a speed workout on flatter, kind of like this surface kind of stuff, I'll be wearing the H1, because then right after that I want to get on these trails, and they're a little bit rocky, like kind of looking a lot like that stuff. A little bit technical here and there with some hills, and so to get the best of both worlds, I am going to be wearing these H1s, which are amazing. These are probably going to be my race shoe at Western States. I'm not sure. I'm going back and forth between the H1 and the T1. The T1 is like strict trail, big lugs and everything, but Western States is very runnable. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I've done a speed workout in one of these in these shoes before, and I love them. I thought they were great. And so yeah, we're gonna give another go with the speed workout with those today. Let's head up there and get this workout started. 25-minute warm up, nice and easy peasy. As always with the warm up, just nice and easy, no pushing, just shaking the legs out, enjoying the view. So beautiful out today. Made the warm up a little longer just because I wanted to get everything shaken out. Almost pretty much 3 miles. 3 miles on the dot, 27 minutes. It's hot. We're tired, but hey, we're gonna do it. Let's go. 3 minutes, let's go. $5:38. All right. Pretty good, man, but these intervals are so hard. I mean, the bicarb definitely helps. Like, I don't feel it in my legs. It's just the cumulative fatigue of the 3 or 2 weeks of building leading into this. Just gotta focus on doing our very best, baby. That's it. Let's go. All right, 2 minutes left in this cool down. All right, 3, 2, 1. $5:44. That was tough. We're still alive. Whew. The next one's gonna be on an incline, so we're gonna get a little hill action in, which would be fun. Make it a little spicy. That means the other ones were a little downhill, so would expect the pace to be a little slower, grade adjusted, but that's all good. 3. Ooh, there's a lot more uphill than I thought. 6:44. I wonder what grade adjustment that is, but it's really important to note when you do hill reps, hills on runs, hilly run, grade adjusted base is your king. Second to last one, 3, 2, 1.
Another uphill interval, 6:29. Woo. You know, this is good. I think like last week when we recorded the intervals, I was getting faster and I was like, man, I just push it a little harder because it's normal to see your intervals decline week after week. Here we are. That's good. It means the body's getting pushed. It's so hard. I need some hyperlight in this next one. Carbs are magic. Last one, baby. 3, 2, 1. All right, last one, 5:55. I didn't even take my camera out of that one because I just want to lock in and push. Oh my God. What did that workout would have felt like without bicarb? We got it done. Now, like, in classification sense of like, if we're analyzing performance, like, yeah, that workout was easily my worst one of the block. That's okay, like, fine. I say that for several reasons. Number one, I always tell my athletes, if 100% of your workouts felt great, that's not a good training plan. I always think about the rule of thirds, which I dubbed from Alexi Pappas, who's an Olympian, great runner, has a great podcast as well called Mentor Buffet. But Alexi says that her old coach used to tell her about the rule of thirds, where if a third of your workouts is great, a third of your workouts is just, you know, okay, check the box, and a third of your workouts are bad, that's a good training plan. And I agree with that, because if every workout was great, that means your training plan's too easy. If every workout was bad, then you gotta fix something. This is just one chunk up into the 30%. So don't beat yourself up, zoom out. One workout doesn't define your training. As long as everything else follows the rule of third, you're good. And that's how we did it. And we gave it our all. Like, I always tell my athletes, like, hey, did you give it your very best out there? Did you give it your all? If the answer is yes, it doesn't matter what the splits are, it doesn't matter how you perform in the workout. What matters is you gave it your all, and that's all you can ever ask for. All right, I'm gonna run for an hour in those bad boys. Get some trail time, nice and easy. Nothing like running uphill on trails after smashing some intervals. So awesome, bro. Western States, we're gonna have to climb out of those canyons. Some climbs in those last 20 miles. All right, finished up 14.1 miles. How much elevation gain we got? Almost 1,200 feet. Not too shabby. I guess totals, so I had the gel beforehand, which was like 25 grams of carbs. I finished this Hyperlight flask, that's 100 grams of carbs. And then I had 140 gram gel out there too. So total carb, if you include the one beforehand, it's like 160 grams of carbs. Let's go eat. So post-run, I am going to a local Mexican joint, one of my favorite local Mexican spots. Obviously not a local Mexican spot. That was a joke. I cannot take credit for that joke. My friend Ben, he always posts on that story because he eats Chipotle a ton, and he always posts that on story. I think it's hysterical. So Ben, thank you for the joke here. So if I could eat Chipotle every day, I 100% would. So here's the order. We got a burrito bowl, and inside the burrito bowl we have chicken, we have guacamole, we have white rice, black beans, mild salsa, the corn salsa, lettuce, vegetables, the fajita vegetables, and I think that got everything on there. So covers all the bases. And then I got the chips, not for now, but like, so the reason why I'm at Chipotle, by the way, is it's close to the place where I just ran, and then there's actually a Starbucks right around the corner, so I'm probably going to go there and work for a little bit, just because it's close to the trailhead. Because tonight we have the group run with Rachel Entrican, and I think there's like 100 people RSVP'd, so I'm trying to get there early so I can be there early and not have to, you know, juggle with like parking far away or anything. So you might ask, well, Joe, when are you going to shower? Well, if I'm going to run again tonight, why shower? I know it's like a total trail dirtbag move, but hey, you know, sometimes you got to consolidate water. We're in Phoenix. We don't have enough water. It's very important to get, after your run, carbohydrates and protein Usually I suggest getting anywhere between a 3-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein, or doing a 4-to-1 ratio if you are, going really heavy on training load or anything as such too. I think this bowl altogether has, I want to say, like 75 grams of carbs and then 25 grams of protein. So that would be a 3-to-1 ratio. But you always want carbs to replenish the glycogen, especially if you've done a hard workout. And then you want the protein to repair your muscles. Very important. Couldn't help it. Gotta break into it real early. All right, we just got to the group run. Gonna be an hour easy run. Super chill. I mean, maybe if Rachel leads out in front, it might not be chill because she's super fast. It's gonna be an hour of fun, put it that way. And then I'm eating the rest of these Chipotle chips. Under the calorie total for today, add a large Chipotle chip. Just from that run today, I burned 1,400 calories. I'll probably burn another 500, maybe here. So bring it to almost 2,000 burn calories on top of the 2,000 calories that I burned just sitting existing. So I don't track calories because I tend to be in a position where I like to see the signals of what my body needs and wants. And then also, I think in some cases, like if you're okay with it and you don't have like a history with disordered eating or anything, like that's where counting calories can be helpful. Or if you don't eat enough, that's where it can be helpful. And crush this bag of chips, gonna get out there for the group run. We're gonna chat with Rachel Entrikin, the queen of 200s, mammoth 200 champion, Cocodona champion 2 times in a row, course record holder, High Lonesome 100 champion, course record holder, won every ultra that she lined up last year. All that being said, we're gonna crush these chips, enjoy the group run, and have some fun. All right, so we're here with the Queen 200s, Rachel. I got to run with her for the first time. We've known each other for a while. First time ran together, right? I don't think we ever ran together.
I guess.
Right? We've never ran together.
Yeah, I guess not. Well, Cocodona, but that doesn't count. Because
Yeah, and you were like there for like 5 seconds, and then you were just way ahead. So, anyways.
Okay, good for us.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, good for us. That was awesome. So you're racing cold water this weekend. What's your goal of cold water?
To finish?
Yeah. And you got 60 miles in burrito league going into it.
I'm not exactly tapered.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it'll be fun. I mean, the goal is always just to finish and have a good time.
100%. And then you're going back to Cocodona this year. What's your big motivation to go back for one more time?
Peer pressure mostly is always what gets me in places, but I mean, it's such a fun course, and it's I think they're doing a lot for the women's participation, and yeah, so I'm excited to go back. And this will be I'll do it 4 times eventually.
Oh, this will be the fourth? Wait, this will be the third time, right?
This will be my
Third time, gotcha.
Yeah, so I'll do it 4 times, but I'm gonna give it a rest.
No fifth buckle? That fifth buckle looks pretty cool, the 1,000 mile.
Well, that is the...
Oh, is that...
It's
Wait.
250 by 4 is 1,000.
Oh, I can't do math. I can't do math there.
So when I do my 4th time, I don't want to use pacers.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be awesome.
That's my goal, but I'm gonna give it... So I'm going back this year, and I'm gonna go hard, and then I'm gonna give it a rest for a
Heck
second.
yeah. Well, third time's a charm, that's what I say. So I think we'll be back for one more win.
Yeah.
That'd be
hopefully.
awesome. That'd be awesome. Rachel, you're great. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
All right, so just got out from the group run. It is way later than expected. There's a lot of people there. Man, everything was so awesome, but it is 10 p.m. I usually do not stay up this late. I usually do not eat this late, but we got to eat post-run. So here's what we got cooking for today. We got a chicken thigh, and then we have potatoes with tomatoes and zucchini. I did not cook this. My amazing wife cooked this. So we got carbs, we got protein, and I'm going to get in some little extra carbs after this, but we're going to start with this as the premier meal for tonight. I will definitely be sleeping in a little bit later than normal tomorrow because you don't want to skimp on sleep. It's okay to do it every once in a while. Today I woke up a little bit earlier because it was a busy day, but tomorrow we will make up for it with sleep. And of course, here he comes begging for food. No, dude, get out of here. He's trying to lick it. No. And then for dessert before bed, we're going to do a mini perfect bar. I'm addicted to these things. They're so delicious. They're so amazing. A little bit of protein, a little bit of carbs, a lot of goodness. And then we're just going to eat just a ton of blueberries because berries are amazing. Your desserts can be healthy. And I think these, are pretty clean desserts, so to say. So good. There's been times, so this is like the pack from Costco. There have been days where I just literally just demolish one of these things in one setting. That's a full day of eating, folks. If I do get hungry in the middle of the night, I will get a midnight snack and I will record it. It doesn't happen often. But today was a big day. I mean, my watch says I burned just active calories, 2,443, meaning probably total calories burned today was 4,443. I don't think I ate that much. I don't feel hungry. I'll probably be really hungry tomorrow, and tomorrow will be like the long run day, and it's just gonna, or sorry, tomorrow's not the long run day. Tomorrow is an easy day. It's the day before a long run. So usually I'm just gonna be carb loading anyways, eating a lot more carbs and just eating a lot more volume as usual. So I just feel really full. I think the bicarb kind of made me pretty full, but I also don't want to eat like too much before I go to bed. Probably will be hungry tomorrow, which is okay because we're going to eat a lot more than usual. I won't go through tomorrow's full day of eating because we're going to save the other full day of eating for the long run day. And we're actually going to go through my fueling during the long run too, which would be great. I'll show you what I do for pre-long run night dinner. That makes sense? The night before the long run dinner. It's late. I'm tired. I'm usually not up this late. Actually, I lied. I'm going to have one more of these. Then I'm going to bed. And that wraps up the day of eating. All right. It is Friday, the day before the long run. And I'm not going through a full day eating today, but I did do 12 miles. Super easy. 2 hours recovery run to get prepped for tomorrow. And this is a staple that I do the night before every single long run, every race that I've done. Good old pizza, but not just any pizza, homemade pizza. I usually have like a personal pie and it's got a lot of carbs. It's got some fat, not too much though. I mean, pizza is just amazing, right? I think David Roche said once that pizza equals performance. I think David Roche said that. If David Roche didn't say that, someone said it. A wise philosopher said it, but every race, every long run, it's always primed for perfection. Never has done me wrong, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Get some rest and get ready to rip tomorrow. It's just about 8 o'clock and day of the long run. He's already looking to eat some stuff. Hey, bud. No. He already had his breakfast this morning, but I'm having my breakfast. We're going to take it through a full day of eating for a long run. What do we have on store today? We have about 4 hours, 4 hours to 4 hours and 30 minutes, depending on how I'm feeling today. To like 24-ish miles if I was just pegging out. We're going to get some elevation gain, nothing too crazy. Every morning before a long run, I usually do a bagel with some butter on it as well too. Now, I don't put too much butter on it because you don't want too much fat jostling around your stomach before a long run, but pumpkin spice bagel from Costco. Basic, right? 61 grams of carbs, 550 milligrams of sodium, so you get like a lot of salt loading up. Topping it off, one with a rice cake, tomato basil rice cake. Just top it off because I usually like to get around 75 to 80 grams of carbs in the morning. Probably won't start running for like an hour, 90 minutes or so, so we'll have time to digest it. And then one of these things, which you probably see demolish like 10 of these in these videos. And then last, but certainly not least, certainly maybe number one most important, is caffeine. Today we're going with Form Energy. First form, Silver Lightning, 200 milligrams of caffeine. If you like the White Monster, you'll like it so much better because it's like the White Monster with more caffeine. That's better. Getting in my 2 Currens capsules. Wash her down with some First Form. Prepping the nutrition for today's long run. I'm going to fill up 2 bottles with 1 full serving of Hyperlight, which will have 100 grams of carbohydrates and 1,000 milligrams of sodium. This is always my go-to. This will be my go-to at Western States. A lot of carbs, a lot of sodium, which is really, really important, especially for a race like Western States, which is super hot. It's going to be pretty warm today. I think I'll probably start at like high 50s and then in the middle of the run probably get to mid 70s, so pretty warm today. I will carry 2 bottles of these as well too, and then I'll be supplementing with some gels and salt tabs. So I got a litany of gels over here. I'll kind of go through as when I take them out there, and then I also have salt pills just in case, more for like emergency state. The key to mixing any hydration drink is half water first and then powder, and then you top it off with water. So you kind of make a powder sandwich. Give it a little shake. Also, I know I'm wearing this sweatshirt in like almost every video. Like, this is like my emotional intensity sweatshirt. I was gonna say comfort, but like I like to wear this sweatshirt because it's like very intense and helps like get me locked in. Sometimes you gotta dress the part, you know? Even on the days where you don't feel like you're locked in. Also, the thing that's awesome about Hyperlight is, and this used to be like a big issue that I had with hydration drink mixes or carb drink mixes, is that like it would get so disgustingly hot. When like the drink mix was warm, it'd be gross. This stuff actually does not taste bad even when it's warm outside. And so for training in Phoenix and then also doing Western States, very important. All right, so we got 2 bottles of Hyperlight, 2 bottles of water, emergency salt pills, loads of gels. The goal is to consume all of this stuff. The water is supplemental depending on how hot it gets. Obviously, you want to be hydrated out there, but like rule of thumb, calculate out your sweat rate tests, which we will do later in this video series. You know, hydration is a very specific thing to each person. And anyways, gonna get the pack loaded up, get the car loaded up, and yeah, let's go get this thing done. All right, slight pivot in the plan. We were gonna go to Pima Canyon Trailhead, but looks like traffic is pretty bad. Long story short, I got a lot of stuff to do today, so I had to opt for old reliable Phoenix Mountain Preserve, which I'm just gonna be real. That's why I clicked record here. Is like, man, I've spent so many miles in here over like the past like few years, and this is like the training spot. And sometimes it's like, oh man, we got to do another 4 hours here. But sometimes you have to pivot and adapt and adjust if you want to have all the other priorities in your life fit in. And number two, even if you don't feel like it, you know, you got to be in a position where, you know, you just got to do it anyway. You know, you have to ask yourself, are the goals worth it? And for me, the goals are worth it, not just training for Western States and getting in this long run, but also in my life, you know, wanting to grow my coaching business and wanting to be there for my wife and take care of the dog and all the things that we have too. So sometimes the goals have to be worth, you know, not getting your preferential choice. Honestly, oftentimes that is the case. Today's one of those days. So I wanted to hit record for some words of encouragement. If you're ever like dreading getting out there for, you know, that same route, same location, whatever that might be, just know that, you know, sometimes it's number one, okay to feel that, but also number two, you have to make those sacrifices to get what you want, because it's not always about what you want, it's about what you really want. Let's get after it. We're also going to eat something right before this run, so stay tuned for that. Shoe choice today, we're switching up a little bit on the trails too. We're going with the Mount Coast T1s. I've been on a ever weekly battle of like, will I wear the T1s or the H1s for Western States? So today we're gonna test the T1s for a spin and see who's winning the competition between which shoe are we gonna pick for Western States. So start a long run. Again, it's gonna be about 4 to 4.5 hours, depending on how I feel. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go 2 hours out, fill up some water, 2 hours back, and then see how the body feels. And if the body feels good, we'll go for 30 extra minutes too. Sometimes I like to do these kind of flex long runs, kind of 3 weeks into a build period, which we're at right now, just because as you saw earlier in the video, the workout this week was a little rough. So we wanna be sure to see where the body's at, not push it too far. Yeah, let's see how it goes. Now in the spirit of showing everything we eat, we're gonna start out with a gel. 100 milligrams of caffeine in here too. I like to do 100 milligrams every 2 hours, 25 grams carbs. So yeah, we'll eat this gel and then get started. All right, first gel down. Get this thing rocking and rolling. And we are off to the races, baby. 20 minutes in, this is usually where I take my first gel or first hit of carbs. I'm actually gonna go with the Hyperlight because I wanna try to get in like 20 grams of carbs or so. So it was probably about 25 grams carbs plus whatever sip that we had, so maybe 30-ish grams in the first 20 minutes. Fuel early and often. All right, so I'm gonna stop running so we can see clearly. As you can see, we're about to hit 40 minutes and then it's gonna go nutrition alert and it's buzzing. I like to do that is because anything you can do in a race to reduce the amount of stuff that you have to manually think, the better. I would suggest taking off the buzzer that buzzes every mile you do it though, because then it's just gonna be a lot of buzzes and you're not gonna know which is which. So let's dive into a hitter of a gel. Okay, this one's 40 grams of carbs, so we got a little bit of a big hitter here, but 65, 70 grams of carbs down the hatch. All right, 1 hour in. And 20 more grams of carbs to top it off about like 100 through Hyperlight, of course. All right, another 20 minutes in, that means it's gel 30. The key is just get it down in one shot. Some people struggle with getting gels down, just get it down in one shot. Just like taking a regular shot, even though I'm sober. And I'm listening to a song right now, Lick It Up by Kiss. It's a great theme song for sucking down gels. All right, hour and 40 minutes in, about 10 miles in. Next feeling, big sip of Hyperlight.
Ooh. Big goals. All right, 12 miles in, 2 hours, caffeine time. 100 milligrams through this gel. It's also 30 grams of carbs as well. All right, let's keep it going. Quick bottle stop. Hyperlight bottle number 1 is done. Second bottle of Hyperlight. New bottle of water, a little bigger soft flask. 20 minutes, gel time. On a steep uphill too. 40 grams carbs down, uphills hiking, recording, getting in some water. 2 hours and 40 minutes in, we're going with Hyperlight. Little water chaser too. Pro tip, helps the stickiness not build up in your mouth from gels and drink mix. Ooh, look at this little tunnel. Trippy. All right, 3 hours in, 18 miles in, fueling time. We're going Hyperlight again. It's getting hot, so gonna need to drink a little bit more. So I like to lean on the liquid stuff a little bit more. 3 hours and 25 minutes in. We're 3 hours and 25 minutes in. We'll see how we feel. I'll kind of assess at the 4 hour mark if I want to keep going or not. Remember, I said like 4 hours today, 30 minutes bonus. Legs are definitely feeling pretty heavy after the 2 speed workouts and giving building for 3 weeks. So, I mean, I'm feeling stronger. Like I feel like stronger throughout the run, but you know, sometimes you don't want to push it. And you know, since we are getting into that end of the build phase, getting close to it, I don't want to over smoke it. So let's keep going here. 340, we're gonna go with some Hyperlight again. This is the Hyperlight hour. Now the flask is done, it's 100 carbs down. All right, we wrapped it up at 4 hours, a little over 4 hours because I wanted to get that 24 miles in, but felt really good at the end, like aerobically, everything as such too, but legs just feeling very heavy. So 30 minutes, I might add it on to tomorrow. Again, we were prescribed for 4 hours. 30 minutes was just a bonus. I think today was a job well done. Let's head home and let's go eat. So before I make any meals, because I gotta take this dude out. But before we do, quick carbs. So as a snack, I really love candy, but I try not to eat too much of it. I've been eating this stuff. It's called Rotten. It's really good. Not sponsored, but it has 58% less sugar. It still has like 42 grams of carbs. So it tastes a lot like candy, even though it's not. All right, and so for the post long run meal, this is pretty friggin' unhinged, but we're going with it. So we got a bowl of oatmeal. It has like 60 grams of carbs with berries, assortment of berries, raspberries, blackberries, like 1 blueberry. We got chicken taquitos with sweet potato chips, 36 grams of carbs, 30 grams of protein. Gonna have a cup of Greek yogurt, 15 grams of protein, pretty much no carbs. And then for dessert, top it off with some more berries if I so please. You know how they say like girl dinner? I think that's the trend. I don't know. This is like Joe dinner. And for dinner tonight, since after a long run, you gotta replenish as much as you can. And we did have a pretty relatively healthy post long run meal. Good old In-N-Out double with grilled onions, fries, but I do the fries well done. That's the dinner of champions.
In terms of the lifestyle stuff, the first thing that I see really messed up with some athletes is that, you know, sometimes I'll look at athletes' training logs that I'm working with and I see performances decline. I see that they're feeling sluggish. I see that they're feeling tired. I see that they're feeling more sore, even though I'm looking at the training and everything looks good. And one question that I ask athletes every single week in our weekly check-in form is, what is your eating in terms of volume like throughout the week? And if I see that someone is saying, hey, I'm actually not eating as much, that can correlate really well with the low performances that I see. And that's why the rule of thumb that I would say to all my athletes is that make sure that you are matching your caloric intake with the load of training that you are putting in. The higher the load of training, the more volume, the more intensity, the more you're going to want to be eating. Because the more you're working, the more you're burning calories, and the more that your body needs to replenish those calories to stay strong in that overall training load, right? So in general, I like to say, get people around a caloric evenness throughout the day. If you saw, like, if you're watching this part right after you see that first day, I noticed on that night, I was like, ooh, I might have been in a little bit of a deficit. And I didn't go through my full day of eating on that Friday, but I ate a lot more on that Friday than I burned because I wanted to be at that evenness, which is another thing to think about. It doesn't necessarily have to be even on the day. As long as you're even throughout the week, you're in a good spot, because that is a really, really good way to make sure that your body's going to recover well, make sure that your body's going to be having the energy to go like hard on the next workout and to ultimately be in a place where you can perform really, really well. But you might be saying, hey, like, do I want to be in a caloric deficit? Because doesn't lighter weight help me to perform better, right? If I'm lighter, then I'm better. And that comes down to rule number 2 with me, which is that lighter doesn't always mean faster. Sure, if you look at the papers that say that, yes, every increase in body weight may impact your overall pace. However, here is a really, really dangerous trap that I see people get into all the time, is that when you are losing weight and you are actively in a caloric deficit, you increase your risk for relative energy deficiency syndrome, or REDS. You increase your risk for stress fractures, you increase your risk for injury, and you increase your risk for subpar performance because you have low energy availability. And so from that standpoint, right, like I always tell athletes, right, they're like, hey, I want to lose some weight. Now, I'm not saying losing weight's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Like if you want to, lose weight for whatever reason, like be in maybe a position where, you can do that in an off season or when you're not training hard. But if you're in your middle of the hard training block, like for example, for me, I'm doing 2 speed workouts a week, right? Like this is not the time to lose weight, because that can be a position where, I can really, really hurt myself, get a stress fracture, have low energy availability, and ultimately be in a position where, yeah, maybe that extra weight on paper might shave off a few seconds off my time. But if I can't get the output that I want to, then ultimately that's going to be in a position where it can really, really fry things down. So I always say this, like if you're in hard training, it is not the time to lose weight, because the weight that you do lose is not going to be as impactful on your pace as the negative effects that come from losing that weight during that time, right? So you want to increase your caloric intake with the work that you're putting in, which means you get to eat more when you train more, which, honestly, like that is an awesome thing. I love to eat, so I love food, so it's a good thing for me. I like the training because I get to eat more. It's awesome, right? A few more rules that I like to think about. Number 3, don't skimp on protein. Protein is really, really good. You should probably be getting anywhere between 1 to 1.2 grams per body weight a day. I know it sounds like a lot, but you're doing a lot of damage to your muscles and your body, and having protein is going to be able to repair those things. And even if you have excess protein, it actually stores as carbohydrates in your body, which are good. So don't skimp on the protein. Make sure you're getting that in. And also don't skimp on the carbohydrates. Yes, I know I might get some people saying, oh, but I do like low carb, high fat diet. I'm not trying to argue which diet is best to you. I'm just going by the research, the evidence, everything that shows out that says carbs are good. Our body uses carbohydrates. It uses carbohydrates to create glycogen and store them in our muscles, which glycogen is basically the energy reserves that power our muscles. That's why we fuel on our long runs. That's why we fuel in our races, right? Because we restore the glycogen. So getting in carbohydrates, especially if you're in a high intensity block or a high volume block, is super, super important. So carbs are your friend. Do not fear the carbs. The carbs are amazing. The next rule that I always say is, if you want to eat super healthy all throughout every single meal of like your entire thing, that's totally fine. That's okay. But I also like to say, I like to live a little, right? You saw me have some In-N-Out. You saw me have some snacks like throughout thing. That is okay, right? So I go by the philosophy of 80-20. 80% is clean, 20% is whatever the hell I want, right? I'm even going on vacation next week. And because of that, like going on vacation next week, I'm going to eat whatever the heck I want. And so, in the long grand scheme of things, of the whole year, 80% I'm clean, but that 20%, even that week or on a day or on a give, wherever, right? Like I'm going to enjoy life. And if you choose to do so, that is okay, especially if you're putting in a lot of work, because, if you're putting in a lot of work, a lot of the stuff is just going to get burned out anyways. So all that being said, enjoy life. If you want to, again, if you want to be 100% strict, that's okay. But listen, I like my cookies every once in a while. I like my ice cream every once in a while, and I will have it. Now, we'll do a whole episode on fueling for the long run. But one thing that I do want to just preface this with say, like you might be looking at that video of me going through that long run and be like, holy crap, you're taking a lot of carbohydrates. And I always say this too, carbs in the run are your friend, and you're probably not taking as much as you should be, right? Loads of anecdotal evidence, loads of research that is showing that high carbohydrate fueling is a performance enhancer for anybody, no matter where you're at. And so a lot of people, they can increase their performance just by going to 30 to 40 grams of carbs an hour to 60 to 80 grams of carbs an hour. Not everybody needs to go that high, and not everybody maybe have stomachs that can handle it. Doesn't mean you're bad bad. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It just means that everybody's GI tract is different, like I was saying before. So I highly encourage every person and every athlete that I work with to bump up their carb intake a little bit higher in their long runs and see if your body responds to it. And if it does, you're probably going to see increased performance. You're probably going to feel a lot better. You're going to recover a lot better. And that can be a performance enhancer in and itself. So don't feel the carbs, use them on your long run, and that will help a ton. Week of training is wrapped up in the books today. Let's go through the week of training. This was the first 100-mile week of the block. So we hit 100.2 miles this week, 16 hours and 22 minutes of training for the week. Now, last week we did 15 hours and 45 minutes. This week we did 16 hours and 22 minutes. So we're progressing volume a little bit. Hit that 100 miles on there too. We did 2 speed workouts. We did easy runs. We did a huge long run. And then actually today I did 15 miles on the Burrito League segment, not to max out my own segments, but to support our amazing race director at the Desert Peak Ultra, Shelby Hines, who is also my athlete. She is closing the gap on first place as we speak, which is awesome. So she might win this Burrito League, which is going to be incredible. You know what? I'm going to say she's going to win this Burrito League. I'm calling the shot right there. And we're heading into another week of training. So usually I take a deload week this week. However, I am not. And I'm going to explain why in the next video. And we're going to talk about how to deal with fatigue when you're training, because it is going to be a very, very important topic because we're all going to face it. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week on next week's edition of the Western States Training Prep series. We'll see you soon. Endure better and keep crushing the training, baby. And keep eating. That's the most important thing.